Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Peter Mwangi, will step down from his position in November this year after completion of his 6-year term in November. Now, during his tenure, Mwangi was instrumental in the mutualization of the market and the listing of the exchange through the initial public offering, which is expected on 9th of September. Now, for more on this, we'll talk to Geoffrey Maina. He is a research analyst at Old Mutual Securities. Now, thank you, Geoffrey, for joining us. And of course, we're looking at the tenure of Peter Mwangi, the 6 months that he has been in office. Yeah. For you, what would you say is the key success that you would attribute to his tenure?
Well, if we just go back and try to quantify some of his achievements that we've seen in the last 6 years, Mr. Mwangi has been instrumental in the ongoing process of the exchange to demutualize. I mean, that's is going to give our market an upper hand, because we'll be the second exchange in the whole of Africa to demutualize and to be listed in our local exchange here. And also through that, we've seen the exchange, he's been able to ensure that the Nairobi Securities Exchange rebrands and even change of name just to accommodate more products that will be coming hopefully in the near future. You know, our market traditionally it's been characterized by equities and bonds only. So, but there are plans to expand the product portfolio, and that was one of the key things that informed the change of name. So over the last 6 years, you can say that Mr. Mwangi, he's done a good job and in positioning our capital markets to be recognized in Africa. Remember, like in the whole of Africa, we have three, let's call them 4 competitive exchanges. You have our local here, the Joburg one, Nigeria, and Egypt. Yeah.
And you've been outperforming most of this actually for about 2 years running.
Yeah, exactly. And that openness and also ensuring that foreign investors can come in our market and participate in the existing investment opportunities that we had. It's a plus for him. So going forward, we are yet to see who the successor will be and how his tenure will be defined going forward. Yeah.
Of course, looking at the plus, we also have some negatives that, of course, we saw in that period. And of course, he did inherit one of the discount. I think it was Francis Thuo, which was one of the stockbroking firms that collapsed in 2007, and he came in 2008. But since then, we had 2 other stockbroking firms that went down with investors' funds. So we had Kenya Karaoke in 2008, and we had Discount Securities in 2009. For you, looking at it from the perspective of what was done to regain investors' confidence, what's your view on that and how the NSE handles that?
I think this will most suit from the regulator side, because you know the NSE is regulated by our Capital Markets Authority, and we've seen after those cases that those 3 stockbroking houses went down, the regulator came in and reinforced the market rules. Right now, we know all participants are supposed to maintain separate accounts, what we call the client account, and their own office account, just to try and separate funds. What this money belongs to client, and this is your actual money. And those are some of the challenges that characterize that led to some of the stockbroking that you mentioned to collapse. And even after that, we also saw the CMA introduce an investor protection fund, where right now, in case of anything, at least investors are covered in that front. And even going forward, both NSE and CMA, the regulator, they've been very active in trying to ensure that there's fair play in the market. We've seen in our market, we've never had cases or instances of insider trading. I mean, it shows you how vigilant they are in enforcing some of the rules to ensure that the market is fair and open to everyone, and this just echoes with the kind of management that Mr. Mwangi has been able to put. He's been able to have a very good team from the trading and even products development side, and even the working relation that he enjoyed with the regulator, and in just making sure that our market continues to be active. You know, the government plan is to make Kenya financial hub for this region, and it's the successes that we've enjoyed in our capital markets that is going to really make that vision for the government a
Let's
reality.
talk about the NSC IPO, which of course we're expecting the listing on the 9th of September.
Yeah.
Well, I do have some insider information, if I may call it so, and I understand that it's already doing very well, and it's probably likely to be oversubscribed.
Yeah.
For you, and looking at some of the volumes and the numbers, how was the participation?
You know, retail investors, they're always out to look for opportunities where they can invest. Most of our retail, most of Kenyans, they only do their savings either by buying land or holding savings accounts with banks. But in terms of being active in the stock market, they are not that active. So the NSC rates IPO, and once it starts trading in the market come next month, the kind of interest that we've seen from the retail investors, I mean, it's been very amazing. Even from our end, we had lots of application, but I mean, it's too early to speculate and to talk on that. But we're hopeful, going by the trends of previous IPOs that we've had in the country. We've always had some oversubscription levels. So even this one, you're expecting it will be the same. I mean, the number of shares that they were offering up for uptake, it wasn't that much. So I believe the market will be able to accommodate. And if
we'll wait and see, and of course I'm sure after a dry spell of IPOs in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, of course this was a welcome move. And many thanks for joining us. Well, that is Geoffrey Maina. He is a research analyst at All Mutual Securities.